right, everybody. I'm here with Chris from Blender of Zombie. He's on Instagram and some other stuff. He's been doing card art for a while. So, how you doing, Chris?
Not too bad. How's it going tonight?
Not too bad, not too bad. So, where are you from?
I was I grew up in Kent and I moved to University Place about 8 years ago. So Pacific
Where's
Northwest my whole life.
All right. How old are you?
45.
All right. Uh, your beard looks to be about 60, if I can look at it right
Yeah,
now.
45
So,
going on 70 these days.
what do you do for work?
I work with a metal fabrication company right now. We do stainless steel cable railing assemblies. We build aluminum and stainless steel posts and stainless steel cable complete kit for railing assemblies.
Nice. Do you have any other hobbies other than like cards or card art?
Uh, Down to five cats. Was at six cats until we lost our old girl Feather in September of 15 years. But other than cats and cards, not really. It's just work these days.
Fair enough. Married? Any kids or anything?
Yeah, married with two kids.
Oh, nice, nice. So, do you watch any other like or any sports card based YouTube stuff?
No, I'm getting back into YouTube slowly. I mostly waste my time on Instagram, and the reels have got me flipping through these days and wasting my time. I,
Instagram
I
is
miss
by Instagram is
I
by
miss
far the busiest place for card art, I think.
Yeah, I miss the pre-algorithm days where it was community and follower based what you saw in your feed. These days the feed's a little jacked up, but it's social media, so it is what it is.
So, do you collect cards like regularly?
I do collect cards. I don't buy a lot. I've definitely PC'd a lot of Mariner stuff over the years. I have a lot of sentimental stuff. Back in the day at the Kingdom, I chased down Griffey and got Griffey to sign a baseball as a kid. Uh,
Nice.
he stopped the car. He stopped the car to say no, and a guy in a black Mercedes behind him said, "Come on, kid, give him one for the effort." And I think it was Senior. So right at that time, my friend caught up to me, and he got his hat signed, and it was
That's pretty awesome. So, do you collect any other sports, or is it mostly just baseball, like old Mariner stuff?
I love baseball. I always wanted to play baseball as a kid. I collected basketball mostly when I started collecting cards, probably in like 97, 98. I think that was like the magical summer that got me into cards when cards changed from the junk wax era. And we started to see some of the Michael Jordan inserts that were just, in my opinion, beautiful pieces of artwork. And it was all prototyping and it was short print. And it's, I don't know, the blue chip stuff of the hobby, in my opinion. And I think we're seeing mass production, which kind of ruins the hobby, in my opinion, lately. But I don't know. There's still stuff sentimental, like underrated stuff that I think can be really good sentimental, like soccer and women's basketball and stuff that has a lot of heart behind it.
Do you set up at any card shows or anything to sell either regular cards or customs or anything like that?
No, I set up to do my first show setting up customs out at Dan Kuiper's in Dan Kuiper's shop out in Centralia a couple months ago. That was my first experience ever selling card art, so it was
How was that?
a little. It was a good experience. Some of the people recognized me that have some of my pieces in their collection. It was a really humbling thing. I had a lot going on, so I kind of cut it short. I was only out there maybe like 3 4 hours, but it was a good experience. So
Did it sell at the card show or not so much?
I think my mistake was well, there was not a lot of traffic coming through, and I priced my stuff, and I think I priced some of it too sentimentally, a little bit higher than I should have. And then on our way out, there was some people who were like, "Hey, I wanted to pick up a piece," and I was like, "Yeah, I got you." And since then, actually, did a Mike Trout custom for a guy that asked at the show about a piece. So
All right, that's most of the stuff that I had about like I don't want to say non-card art related stuff, but like more generic stuff. So hopefully now we can get into the real stuff. So how long have you been doing card art? I know I asked you this before, but
I got into it in 2020.
okay. During the pandemic, obviously during the pandemic.
Yeah. And actually, one of the catalysts that got me really started or down the rabbit hole into it was I had done a sketchbook painting of Doc Ellis, and one of the coolest things is Doc Ellis's son actually commented on it and responded, and but Third Day on Art was gave a really good comment, and he was one of the people that I checked out his account and actually first got me interested in card art. And I don't know, at the start, I I don't know, it wasn't looking all that good, and it was one of those things where I could have easily just said, this is dumb. But I don't know, it just became a huge passion of mine. It became for me, like the process of creating is like painting. It's something that it's medicinal. So
I can
I
definitely
was
relate to
kind of,
all that.
I'm sorry, what?
No, I said I can definitely get into all that. So, so, so why, like, did you have any art background before you got into card art?
I've been into art my whole life. I used to sketch, when I was a kid, and then I got into painting. Got into painting over the years and fell out of it, and then we lost our house in 2018. And when we moved into this place, I started painting really heavily for about 2 years, and really started to get into it. Did a lot of cat artwork, just sentimental stuff, and then I don't know. I really started to see the importance of layering, because I was a sketch artist where I wanted to sketch it all out and perfectly paint in between the ink work, but I learned the process of layering and taking time on a piece and just building it up. And I think that portrays into some aspect of card art, which is I don't know, it's fun. It's fun stuff.
Do you use I think I've asked you this in private messages before. Do you use just like Chrome cards, or do you use like the Chrome Silver cards, or what do you do for your backgrounds?
The background's mostly just vinyl refractor material. Any company, any refractor, some of the hyper, some of the cracked ice stuff. There's something about just plain refractors that has a really good color and contrast to it. I've used some foil stuff. I don't like to use foil stuff because of the process for me is gluing it out. There's always a little over glue. Vinyl, once it's dried, you can clean it with a wet paper towel, clean it, and it polishes to perfection. Foil stuff is tends to, because of the water, want to wrinkle and come apart. So the best part is just any quality refractor material, mostly from the last like 15 years. Some of the early like 2000 top stuff is a different process where it's just different process of gluing and overlaying that doesn't work so much. But
Do you use any of the regular Chrome cards, or just all refractor stuff?
mostly refractor stuff.
So,
I've seen Kev's Cards does really good work with some chrome, with non-refractive material, with the colors that he picks out, and his style is amazing.
what's the favorite? If you had to pick one, or I guess a couple, what's the favorite pieces that you've done since you've been doing card art?
I've done some pieces that are good, but I think my favorite stuff is some of the stuff that I've gotten autographed since. Um, I've been doing the autographics window for a little bit, which is just cut from top loaders, a little piece of clear acetate in a window, and then my Sunburst on the rest of the card. I've got a couple PC autographs that are even stuff that people probably wouldn't recognize who the people are. To me, it's priceless stuff. It's one of the most rewarding parts of the journey since I've really got into it is getting stuff signed.
I just had one of, not one of, I just had the first card I ever made get signed by a minor league hockey player for a guy that I work with. He had me make a card for his son, and I had extra pictures printed up. So I had made an extra card with no like patch or anything behind it. I'd used a keychain as the mem piece because I don't have patches for the team, but they had keychains. So I used that, and I used the extra pictures to make a card, and I made a window card with it. And his son got it autographed, and I thought that was cool as hell. So
That's awesome.
yeah, I used just a regular piece of cardstock, and then I sent a piece of like holographic laminate stuff that you would put over it, And I told my buddy, I said, once it's autographed, take that sticker basically off. It'll be clear. I said, and put it on the autograph, and it should hopefully hold it. So, but that's the only thing I've ever had autographed. My buddy was gonna get a Henrik Lundqvist card autographed, but he was told that he wasn't allowed to autograph it at the card show he was at because it's not licensed by whatever, and he didn't want to get any legal trouble. So, do you have any favorite card artists right now that you follow them closely, you talk to them just based on art, not even like you like him as a person, just like wow, that person's art is by far my favorite.
Uh, yeah, I've got some favorites like Card Killer and Donnie, not just because they're friends too. Their styles are probably on the top in my mind of just stuff that like Card Killer especially was one of the biggest influences me earlier on, where I knew that this thing that I was doing might be a little bit cookie cutter in ways, but it was true to my style. But every now and then you have to take it to a different level and push. I don't know. Some of the card killer stuff is one of the most inspirational pieces when I got started, and I still look back and it's just amazing. Like I've tried to recreate some of his works, and you can tell it's less time put into it. It's a decent representation, and I'm happy with the work. But at the end of the day, like yeah, I'd take way more time than I put into that to make it on that level. Mr. Shadowbox is one that just blows my mind lately. Um, I don't know if you know Mr. Shadowbox is. There's like Yu-Gi-Oh pieces, like really thick Shadowbox, and he'll take a card and cut every intricate little piece out and lay it out, and then one by one put them together. The epoxy work on some of the detailing and stuff is far out, just really high end. Um, yeah, I got a lot of favorite artists. I'm glad to see J. Clark Barr doing some customs lately. I had to pick up one of the WWE Cody cards customs that he did. One I'd like to get signed for PC maybe down the road.
All right, I've done. I follow, was it Three Devious and What the Shadow
David,
Box?
that's
Their
some
stuff
awesome work.
is
Yeah.
unreal, unreal. I mean, Three Devious I think has 250,000 followers on Instagram or some ridiculous number. So
Yeah.
she only puts
The
out
amount,
like I
amount of
think like
work.
five commissioned like spots a month or a week or something like that. Like she's very busy. So
Yeah, her work is top level, top shelf, definitely.
so
Beautiful, beautiful stuff. There's some inspirational people out there that are definitely changing the game. That's for sure.
do they have do you go to card shows at all frequently, or that's not really your scene?
I haven't much over the years, mostly just financially. After COVID, I've been wanting to hit up some places and I haven't yet, but I'd like to hit up some shows just for refractor material. I think it would be a good way to get out there and restock and put some money back in the economy and people that, work for it and stuff. So,
I definitely think I'd like to. I thought about this after actually talking to you on Instagram, in just messages. I wish there was a way to set up some sort of like a Discord server or something for card artists. So like if you need something, you can ask like, hey, does anybody have, five pink refractor chrome cards from whatever because I'm doing a project or whatever, and kind of help each other out that way. So because I thought about the same thing. Like I don't need much stuff because when I got into the hobby like an idiot, I got into it about 16 months ago or 18 months ago with my nephew, and I collected basketball just like yourself in the early 90s, 92, 93. And like I was like, oh, I want to open up packs and this that, and I bought I think $1,600 or $1,800 worth of 2022 tops when it came out, or 2023, whatever it was, and it was just way too much. I think we had nine complete sets from the hobby boxes that my nephew and I opened. Some ridiculous number, like just way too many cards, which actually worked out good now because I use those paper cards for borders for my crap. And but as I got into the hobby more and more, I actually started doing a lot more than my nephew did, and I I watched YouTube every day, all day. I watch probably a dozen different content creators on stuff just to see their opinions on stuff. just see what's going on. And I very rapidly found out that opening up waxes might be the biggest waste of money on the face of the planet. So even if you hit a big card, yeah, you could spend $3,000 to get
There's
nothing.
the fun in the chase, but yeah, the what you pull out for what you spend is not definitely not. Yeah, I got a refractor guy. I got a guy that actually hit me up. I think about 2 years ago. I think he hit me up. If I remember correctly, with the first encounter with staying, it was this guy messaged me and said, "I'd like to donate some refractors, like just for free and stuff to your cause. I like what you do." And I was like, "Cool." And he sent me like just an awesome stack. I ended up over the last 2 years trading him a couple things from my PC. I've invested probably, the thing about the investment into it, I've put, I don't know, every time I get a long box full of good refractors from them, I probably put $100, $200 in trade into that. So for me, it's totally been worth it because, like I say, the process is great and the outlet of it is great. Um, I've always been just more based on I like doing it, so we'll just see how this thing plays out. And I don't know, it's been fun. I'm not gonna lie, it's been a beautiful challenge and a beautiful. It's work, but it's good work.
How much do you sell versus how much do you keep?
I very rarely sell. I probably give away more than I sell. Every time I get hit up for like a commission or something, it always works out where I needed some supplies, like a box of one-touch cases. So um, I've never been. Every time that I try to sell stuff and my stories and stuff, it never works out. So every time I get hit up by somebody like, hey, yeah, I'll take that piece or whatever, it always works out. So it's kind of great. I hear a lot of people say like, don't undersell yourself. I've always looked at it as it's almost like advertisement's expensive. To run a commercial is expensive, so it's kind of like free advertisement in a way. If you do a giveaway and you're spending $5 to ship a card and um, selling a piece for like $40, it's all reasonable to me and it makes sense now. I haven't looked too much into long term, and so something works out with it, great.
Yeah, I don't know anybody that does it full time. I hear Luke the card artist. I think he got hired by Topps or did some stuff for Topps. So I don't know if he does stuff, but I don't know anybody that does it or even heard of anybody that does it full time. Even Lee from LJ's, who I've been talking to a lot, who when I saw his stuff, he's the one that first got me into doing this stuff. Like he's a teacher in I think Kentucky or something like that. I'd asked him, and so he's got a regular full
Oh,
time
really?
job.
Yeah.
So, but I stopped personally stopped taking a lot of commissions for that same reason. That's why you see all the stuff behind me. I'm just making my own stuff and keeping it and making a wall for myself because I got sick and tired. Like I enjoy making the stuff and I do very cookie cutter stuff, but I actually kind of like it. And I get scared to dive out of my comfort zone, not comfort zone, but I get scared to dive out of what I've been doing because I don't want to mimic or steal what somebody else has been doing. And it's just so cluttered now. It's very hard to find something that somebody else isn't doing. I'm sure I will if I stick with it, but I got sick and tired of dealing with people, and I was charging, I think, $35 or something like that for a card, and I'm making basically no money on that after shipping. So between buying the patches, the cases, all that stuff, and people are like, oh, you're making money, and it's just like, I worked three jobs, as a paramedic. It's like I had $42 in my bank account a month ago, and they're like, oh, well, I'm like, I told you I wasn't making any money doing this stuff. Like, I don't know how you guys don't believe me. Like, not everyone is a greedy prick. So I can completely
Yeah.
understand not wanting to turn this into a thing.
I've never for me it was weird even to sell a couple pieces at the start. I think it was the hardest part for me. Like it was like it's art, it's you're like, hey, you want to sell a piece? Like, I don't know, and you throw out a price and either it's like hell yeah or like oh, and it's like the oh's got me at first. Like I don't blame you, I just cut these things up. It's just goofy art, but I don't know. It it's something to me that the part I miss about the beginning of it around COVID time was the community. It was a community of people that were like-minded and inspirational, and it was fun. It kind of started to turn into like it blew up and a business aspect, and I understand all that, but I don't know. I don't know. It's just been fun and positive for me, and just keep it at that.
I couldn't agree more with you. I got into it because, not that this is about me, but the reason I got into this was because I was opening up wax and found out how stupid that was. It's like, all right, well, I still like opening up, you know, boxes, hobby boxes, blaster boxes, whatever, when I can afford them, obviously. I make good money, but I'm in New York, everything is disgustingly expensive. But I'm like, what the hell do you do with thousands upon thousands of useless base cards? And at some point, my wife's like, listen to me, I don't care what you do, but you're not going to become a hoarder. Otherwise, I'm going to kill you. And I'm like, okay, well, that's pretty fair. So I'm like, at some point, like, what do I do with them? So as I was looking up online, it's like, oh, you can donate them to children's hospitals, this and that. I'm like, I've been in the healthcare field for 18 plus years at the time, now 19 or 20, and it's like, little Johnny or Susie dying of some cancer you can't pronounce or don't know what it is. They don't want your useless sports cards. I don't mean to break your heart, but it's not a thing. Like, if you want to donate them and hopefully you can get a tax write off if you're a business in another way, I guess that's fine. But if you think that's a useful thing, I kind of disagree with you a little bit. Like, I think it makes the person feel good who's donating them, but I don't think that it's like, my personal thing is I just don't think that's a very useful way. So I was like, there's got to be a better way, or else I'm like, this is something I shouldn't be doing. And that's when I found a bunch of people on the internet, like not even on Instagram or anything. Like, I got into Instagram after I got into card art, and that I got into Instagram because of card art. And it's like, uh, I just when I saw LJ's customs and this and that, and I was just like, oh, okay. So I wonder if I can use a bunch of cards with that. So I'm like, well, if it takes me 8 cards to make one, if I make a bunch of them, now I can, you know, dwindle down a lot of my useless space. And that's kind of like what's helped me stomach doing this.
Yeah, my biggest joke when I started making them was now I can make all those shiny cards that I could never afford as a kid.
I love the
And
way
then
they
it
look.
turned just ran I ran with it, and like, yeah, I PC a lot of my own stuff. I've got I've got a couple boxes of just stuff that I don't know. Every now and then you look back through it all, and it all takes you back. It's like time capsules, you know. It takes you. I remember, the mood and the collaborations. I've done a lot of collaborations and stuff, which has been fun.
So that's why I got these frames behind me, and they can hold anything from oh, you can hold anything from a top loader to a 180 point um, one touch. So that's why I was like, you know what, I'm going to start building my own stuff, and kind of like just keep it for myself. Like, oh, when this phase runs out, if it does, like, this is what I did. And so like when I'm done with this, I want to do 100 of them, 10 by 10. I don't know where I'm going to hang them because they're pretty heavy when it's that many. I want to do another wall of just, card artists. Like, I'll message you and be like, hey, can you make me X, Y, and Z? Pay for the card, and then I want to build a wall of, you know, different card artist card, just because this is something that I've jumped into. This is well outside my comfort zone, doing recording, YouTube stuff, any of that kind of stuff. That is not the way I am, but I've enjoyed this. So it's like, what the hell with it? I'm going to try and have some fun. So
It's a lot of work,
it is a
isn't
lot of work.
it?
It's fun though, because like I got a little like disheartened when I found out there's not really hardly anything on YouTube to learn how to do this stuff, covering any of it. Not that there's much to cover, but like, I don't know, like covering other people's art, and covering how to do it if other people want to do it. Like, other people have told me, like, oh, if you want to copy something that I'm doing, just make sure you do it better, kind of thing. And it's like, well, I don't want to, but it's like I do know that there's other people out there that want to do it. So it's kind of like, I feel like it would make the card art more popular and maybe better, I guess.
Remember when I told you about, trying the Sunburst, and you said, "Oh, hell no!" Like, you need to try one, dude. I consider
Maybe.
it. I don't know. Mal's. I think Mal's has done Sunburst a couple times, and I just consider it humbling. It's like, if people can do it better than me, like, that's actually extremely humbling. It's fun, I didn't invent it. I came up with a thing that was easy to do on a cutter. And actually, I started before I started using refractors. I was going to Michael's and I was buying hollow foil paper, this gold and silver, just two tones. It was real thin paper. I used all craft glue. I started to use rubber cement lately for the top piece, just because it doesn't warp so much. I have to use Elmer's glue to lay out a canvas, because laying a Sunburst out and all those pieces, it takes probably like 20 minutes to put one together. So rubber cement, it's not practical in that case. With refractor material, it's just a thing, you just press it, and then it's easy to clean the excess off. Then you cut them down, and I don't know, they look good. It's a little bit of work, but yeah, I don't know.
As
Yeah,
I
you
get
should
better,
try them.
as I get better with this stuff, I would like to. I'm finding out more that you really, really, really need a desktop to do effective live streams and stuff like that. I would like to eventually do stuff on YouTube with YouTube Lives and something like this where we're instead of doing a pre-recording and then editing it, I'd rather do a live and have you do a card while we're just shooting the shit. So like I would be talking to you while you're just making a card for whatever, so people could see that like, oh, this is how he does this stuff. Oh, that's really neat. Like a lot that was my questions when I got into this. Like I have no idea how to do most of this stuff. So I think that would
Anytime
be
I've gone live, anytime I've gone live on Instagram on this phone with my reception here, it always cuts out. It's really horrible, blocky footage. So, yeah, I don't know. The Instagram live for me is hard, but maybe down the road get better internet. Yeah, I've always been interested in doing a couple pieces, builds live. One guy I really love, Diesel Illusions. He's out of Canada. He does like playing cards, like gambling playing cards.
mhm.
Really intricate deck cuts. Some really cool shadow box 3D stuff. He's a good guy. Somebody I'd recommend checking out.
What's your favorite style? Do you have a, I mean, is the way that you do things your favorite style, or do you prefer cardboard cutting? Do you prefer the digital art? Like, what is your
Um,
take on all that?
I, Mine's a convenient style, I think. So I think like Card Killer's method, the intricate swirls and stuff is not something it's not a quick build. It's a lot of work that goes into it. That's my personal favorite. Um, Sometimes good contrast is really good. I like Cosmos. I like Cosmos work. A lot of his stuff looks the same, and then he popped up something where the background he put cracked. I don't cracked ice over a card is easy and it works sometimes, but what he did, the cracked ice made it look dark like one of the old Marvel Spider-Man or Wolverine cards from the 90s, the rare green and blue hologram. Like it looked really deep and it really gave a really good contrast to the border work. And he did the foil border work. I use that mostly when I get pictures printed at Walgreens, when I not working with a card to cut out and I have to print something, send something to print. It's a thinner material, so I'll use the silver or gold sparkle paper mostly to reinforce it. It gives it an extra effect, but I don't do it for the effect. I see people that do an effect on other cards, and it's excess in engineering, and it works sometimes. So,
I'm very guilty of that. I've done stuff, and some of my friends are like that would look cool, but I think you did a little too much with the holographic effect. And I'll look back and I'll be like, nah, they're right. Like shit.
sometimes stuff really works. I think one of the best things that work in card art, in my opinion, is contrast. A really good contrast. A contrast between the canvas and the image and the border. Um, and there's certain things that should work and they don't because it's too much and it just detracts from a focal point on the card, or it's too yeah, I don't know. But sometimes some of the dumbest stuff that I've done gets like way more attention than it should, and I don't understand. Like, I didn't think that was that good, and it's like, well, everyone else must have thought it was good, or the algorithm loved you that day. I don't know what it is, but then I'll post stuff that I'm like, this is genius, and it's like, well, like some of the Magic Gathering proxies I did got like 4 likes. I'm like, these are great. I
Yeah.
kept doing it. I was like, I don't care if nobody does it. These are great. And then at the end, it's like, well, I almost deleted them because it's like, wow, fuck it. Nobody seemed to like it, but I'm like, no. No, those are great. I'm keeping
Tik
them.
TikTok is the worst for that. I put it takes me about 4 hours to do a card, roughly, if I'm working on just one, like completely from start to finish. And I do
Yeah.
very simple stuff. And I did one of Cal Raleigh, and I did his Future Stars card. Took me 3 hours max. Like it was like a quick one and done. And I etched out the Future Stars, and it looked cool. Like it was a good looking card, but it was not like I put no thought into it, to be honest with you. And I put it up on TikTok, and it got over 2,000 likes in like 3 hours. And I'm like, holy shit. Put up other stuff that I think is awesome, or like a good video where like I try to like edit the cool video, and I'm like, okay, the cards are cool, but I kind of really like the music with the video editing. Shit. I'm like, what the hell, man? I'm like, all right, to hell with TikTok. I don't care. I actually care more on Instagram now what you guys think than what other people think, because you guys also do it. So it's like if someone's like, oh, that looks really good, or doesn't say anything, that speaks volumes, at least to me, more than what the hell strangers say, because I don't, not doing this for popularity, that's for sure.
You got to do it for popularity.
Not really. This is therapeutic for me. Like, listen,
I
man,
feel
I was at work today, and at 3:30 I got sent on a call for it came over as a man on fire. When I was done with the call, all I was happy to do was go home and do this crap. So it's not about popularity. I don't care about. For me, it's therapeutic because at least with my, with my life or my personal life or my job or whatever, it's like this is giving me a little bit of salvation where it's like sometimes life can be shit, and I think everybody can relate to that no matter what you do. So the popularity thing genuinely doesn't mean much to me at all. Like I get 12, 13 views on YouTube, totally fine with that. It doesn't love to have it be cooler, but only if people like the card art. It doesn't matter. It's like I won't be that entertaining. I can promise you that. My wife thinks this is the most idiotic thing ever. She is far more likable on a
like,
camera than I am. She does the pack opening, and my buddy from work, my old partner from work, called me, and he's like, "I actually watched your stupid video of you and your wife opening up cards," and he's like, "That was absolutely hilarious. It wasn't hilarious because of me. It was hilarious because of her." So I don't do this stuff for popularity by any stretch, and I don't think at least me doing this would. Other people might be more charismatic than I am, but for me, it's definitely more of a therapeutic thing.
I feel it. Same here. You said earlier about possibly owning a BOZP someday. I do trade with card artists, so just hit me up on what you want to trade for, or if you got an idea right now, let me know, and I'll get going on something here in the next week or two for sure.
All right, I think, like I said, I think I'm gonna pick out like one player and that I personally like, and then it'll be like, hey, I don't care how you do it. What I would like to do is do the same player by all the card artists, any image or card or anything that they want to do. At that point, it's like I would like X, Y, and Z player, and then I'd like to have it so that way somehow each artist can incorporate their own artist name in the front of the card. So that way, when I put them up like in the frames like behind me, and I have 50 of them, I can say, oh, you know, Zombie did that one, Card Killer did that one, PT did that one, and so on and so forth. Like that's for me, you know what I'm saying? Like no one else will care about it, but I will. It'll mean a lot to me, and I want to know who did what piece by just hanging it up in my house. So, so all right. Any other stories or anything you'd like to share as far as your journey into this or through this or any of that stuff?
Uh, nothing off the top of my head. It's funny. I was thinking about this whole interview, and my joke was going to be when you say like, "What got you into card art?" I was going to say, "Well, the thing is when COVID hit and everything was going to be worth a lot of money if you sent it to PSA. I was in a rush to get some '90s junk wax mailed to PSA, and I had some scissors, and I was running. And I know you're not supposed to run with scissors, but I tripped, and then all these refractors got cut up, and I invented card art. I know some
Oh
people
my
say they did it.
God.
I know some people say they did it before me, like in like Card Killer in 2018. But to 2020, I invented card art. I'm not gonna take credit for it. No, that takes some pressure off, though. Got that out of the way.
Uh, there's no pressure, man. There's no pressure. Who do you think? Who's the? Now that you say that, actually, I think Card Killer might be the guy who's been doing it the longest. You and I think Lee from LJ's have been doing it around the same time. That might be it, as far as I know. Anyway, people who I speak to, I know there's plenty of other people out there that do it that I haven't reached out to yet, but it seems to be a newer
Yeah,
thing.
I think Card Killer is one of the first that definitely. He's definitely one of the first that did it in his style. For that's for sure. I mean, some of the stuff, some of his, yeah, look back 2018. Some of the stuff he was doing. Work with Spike Lee. You know, one of the hats with refractor work in Spike Lee's collection. I mean, talk about a legend. Yeah, guy,
He's nuts.
inspirational is the biggest
He's
thing I could
nuts.
say. Inspirational, awesome guy. Optimus Volts is one of the early ones that had a style of his own, drawing the De los Muertos, the skulls over cards and stuff. That was a that was a pre-Luke the card artist, Posca, acrylic over artist.
I've
Yeah,
never
I don't
spoke.
know.
I follow Luke, the card artist, but I've never spoke to him or anything like that. I don't. Not nothing negative. Piggy Bank's another one who I look at their stuff, but like, I mean, full disclosure, like I think a lot of the stuff that like the digital artists do is beautiful. Um, I
It's
don't like it
beautiful, but
as I don't like it as
it's
much as the
nothing.
people who cut. You know,
It's nothing compared to hands-on painters and artists and hands-on card artists. It's a physical thing it's more trial and error. Digital is easy to, I don't know, especially with AI. I don't know. I've heard some things about some artists using AI and stuff, and I wasn't there. Maybe somebody's a heavier hitter. I don't know, but yeah, I don't know. it's there's something different. There's some digital artists that I really love personally, like Eric from Triple Play Design. He does some awesome stuff. He's committed, loves the game of baseball. Just I worked with him on a couple collaborations, some early on stuff with Griffey T206, and it's just that was an example of something where he hit me up about a collaboration, and I said, "Yeah, let's go." And he sent me a uncut sheet of Griffey, like six Griffey T206 cards, and then a different sheet with the backs, and I was like, "Oh, the cuts on a T206 is pretty thin, you know." And I had learned from early on, don't cut the outside out first and then try to cut the inside border on something that thin, it'll curl and you'll mess it up. Cut the insides out and then trim it all after. And yeah, I think I finished that project in like a day or two. Literally, it was one of the most smoothest. I was like, oh, now I got to send all these back to him, and I get one back. He actually said the other day that he's still got one that he's got to sell again. He should do a giveaway. He should do a giveaway or actually an auction with like a charity auction or something would be a good deal with one of those because that was a good set. It was a good project. I don't know if you've seen any of those, the mini Griffies, the T206.
no, I haven't.
I'll have to dig one of those out and post one. Yeah, that was an awesome collaboration. Yeah, collaboration is has been one of the best ways that I put together a personal collection with some of these artists over the last couple years.
I know. I know Cosmo was talking about wanting to do like a competition where he would get X number of artists together and then say, okay, this is the card that everybody has to use, and just basically 20 people make the same card, and then somehow have some sort of like I don't know vote or something like that as far as like how they did. Like it's just a friendly competition, and he hasn't ran with it yet, but I think it's a great idea. I hope he does do it. So I think that would be neat
Yeah,
to watch.
I've heard people say competition's going to be bad because of the competitive nature of it, but I think they can be great if you're all lighthearted on it. And yeah, I think it's a real fun, inspirational thing sometimes. I loved the card art league was something I got invited to late and did a couple pieces and I never won a competition, but I was happy to lose and see some of the other people that did art. It was just fun to see like, yeah, everyone, the idea of doing one card, it's a good idea. Yeah, he needs to get something going with that. The Card Art League, they're switching the reins. I've been in that for I think 2 rounds, maybe yeah 2 rounds. Chuck Liddell and the Card Father, and supposedly there's a couple more around the bend, and then somebody's taking over that and changing it. There was a big delay and all that, so I don't know. I got stoked on that, getting one of my cards that I worked on signed by Chuck Liddell.
That's
That's
pretty
just
big.
it's fun. That was a win, you know.
Have you done any pieces for any pro athletes or no?
Four, no. I gave Mitch Haniger a card about 2 years ago out at Sheeny Stadium, and I got a picture of him holding the card. I was like, "Do you want this card?" After he signed a couple autographs and stuff, I was like, "You want a card?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'll take it." And I was like, "Can I get a picture for Instagram?" And he's like, wearing the Good Vibes Only shirt. I was like, yeah, "Let's go."
Good vibes only. Jeez, you left coasters, man. I'll tell you what.
It's
But
all the
that's
rain,
why.
man. We gotta find a way. We gotta find a way to
Well,
make it through all the rain.
there's a lot of card artists out there out your way, a lot, and a lot of people that are getting into it. I have my buddy Carl that's getting into it, and he's out in Seattle, and it just seems to be a thing in that area of the country. That's for sure. But I started doing, or one of the other reasons why I wanted to do some YouTube stuff with this is because there isn't, not only is there not much stuff being done, there's no real tutorials out there. Not that there's obviously an infinite number of ways to do this stuff, but the other thing is that I have done card art pieces for several like of the, if there is such a thing, bigger sports card YouTubers and stuff like that. They all own pieces of card art that they've bought, and it's becoming a bigger thing at card shows. And I think like low key, it is a very popular part of the hobby that like almost nobody wants to talk about. Like no one's going to go out of their way to buy like sets of card art or something. I don't think anyway at this point, but it is something that I think secretly everyone does really like, but it gets no exposure. It gets no like traction. It's it's one of the things where I think that's why I wanted to do the stuff about the Instagram guys and stuff like that. Just that way it's out there and hopes that other people, enjoy it as well. And they kind of be like, oh, that is neat. Maybe I will get a piece from so and so or start following them, even if you don't buy anything kind of thing. It's just they did the people that do this stuff well, like yourself, like you deserve at least the recognition of like, hey man, that looks really awesome. And that's what all this is about is like I don't think people like the stuff I do is basically third hand stuff from that other people do, and this is something anybody can do. Stuff that you have done, you have your own style. Card Killer has his own style. Piggy Banks, like him or not like him, has his own style. Cosmo has a style. Like there are different things that people have, and I think it doesn't get enough exposure. And I don't think it'll get a shit ton of exposure, but you know, there's also nobody out there really trying to push like, hey man, these guys do really cool stuff. You know, should at least be like kind of put out there a little bit. My opinion. So the only thing I can do is just take my opinion and run with it. So here I am talking to you.
Uh, card art's like hidden gems. It's like I honestly believe that you have to see it in hand to understand the beauty of it. Sometimes people see a picture and go, well, whatever, I don't understand it, and then they see a card and they're like, oh my god, this is amazing.
Hmm.
Um, I've had a few people over the years that pick up a piece, hit me up for another piece. I've had a few people commission me for a couple, like two or three things. So it's one of those. It's hidden gems. People don't know. Some people don't know. There's a few people that are like, oh, hey, card art, that's stupid. I hate card artists. I think it's dumb, whatever. But there's a lot of people that don't even know about it that would see this and be like, whoa, that's cool. Like, well, that's just cut up cards. You don't understand how stupid it is. And they're like, yeah, I know. I know what it took to create that, and I can see the beauty in the work somebody put into making that. One of the biggest hidden gems too for a card artist like me, I do like I say a lot of cookie cutter stuff. I do the Sunburst. Coming up with conceptual pieces every now and then is one of those cool things where you just get an idea, not to say following trends so much, but yeah, I don't know. It's all fun.
I've personally I've seen like the people that like the stuff that I do, the people that like that the most are not people who collect sports cards at all. They're like, oh, that's a cool picture for a gift or for a kid or something. And I'm like, that's literally kind of exactly what I think that stuff is for. But people who collect sports cards, I think a lot of them like card art, but they either like you said, some sort of memorable piece, some sort of like unbelievable eye-catching piece, or like I know people who do what's the word I'm looking for? Parody pieces. They do things that are like funny and stuff like that. So I think everybody has their own feel, but I think more people like card art that like cards than don't. They just might like different stuff. Like a buddy of mine who helped me stay in this field early on, he got card art from somebody else, but he likes the people that draw on it better than say cutting cardboard and stuff like that. So I think people just like different styles. They don't like all card art, but I think it's more
like
popular than I think we give it credit for.
like baseball card vandals,
What's
people that
baseball card?
draw on cards. You ever heard of
Uh,
baseball card vandals?
uh, isn't that kind of what Luke does though? Isn't that like that style where you just draw on them or you paint on them or something along those lines?
Luke's more Picasso with it.
Yeah, yeah. Fair.
They're a little more Beavis and Butthead, but you know the amount of the text that goes into some of baseball card vandal stuff has got me laughing some days.
So, all right. Well, I've taken up, I think, enough of your time for now. As things move on, if we end up doing, I had one guy, Cosmo, and somebody else had said if this gets going, they wouldn't mind doing like a panel or something along those lines, do like a YouTube live and do a panel of like 4 or 5 people and stuff like that. But if we end up doing that, I would definitely love to have you back on for sure. I will definitely, obviously, keep talking to you on Instagram probably almost daily. So, but I definitely appreciate your time. So,
Right on, man. We'll stay with the art, have fun with it, and yeah, right on, dude.
all right, man. Thank you. I'm gonna hang up now.
All right, have a good one, dude.
Later, bro. I'll see you later.